So for those who haven't noticed, freedoms have been taken away, specifically in the UK, where they passed a law or a bill which basically has blocked every single website from being used in the UK, and to the point where basically everybody had to go buy VPNs to circumvent their own firewalls within their country. And apparently the US is in danger of said actions as well, which is very terrifying when it comes to democracy, when it comes to freedoms, when it comes to people just being able to be on the internet in general. So we have an Asmongold video. This request comes from Memo-chan in the Discord. So let's go ahead and talk about this craziness.
The UK is getting for basically the same thing and decides now is the ample time to try this bill again. Charlie made a video on it, did he? Let me see if I can watch it.
If I asked you to give me your ID to watch this video, provide some form of
reaction and a
identification,
reaction.
what would you tell
Let's
me?
go.
No.
I hope your answer would be a resounding no, telling me to go eat dirt. Because that's not just like some kind of innocent, annoying question. That's legitimately just an assault on your freedom. It's an extremely scary and concerning direction the online space is heading. No longer is this just the wacky Wild West of the World Wide Web where Timmy Turner once surfed on an email and Fairly Odd Parents. Now,
it's a different time.
It is actively being censored.
Different.
We're seeing that happen a lot. Censorship is spiraling, especially in video games, with Collective Shout getting Steam and itch.
It's going to get a lot worse. It is. It's going to get a lot worse, especially whenever people like this realize they can make a change.
Two separate platforms to remove hundreds of...
You know, it's interesting that things are progressively getting worse, yet we still don't have enough people getting their lives messed up to the point where they want to actually just go and protest, right? How many people have to lose their job or lose their livelihoods before change actually happens? And I remember, you know, I'm not saying people should go out and, you know, go get firearms and, you know, go that far, but how long until people eventually get to that point, right? If people aren't willing to sacrifice for freedom, then their freedoms will be taken away. You know, we have a cadence in the military. Some say freedom is free. I tend to disagree. And this is talking about soldiers having to die on the battlefield for the freedoms of the US. But when the freedoms in the US are being taken away by the government, well, freedom is still not free, right? So unless somebody is willing to do something, then nothing will change, period.
In hundreds of games that they deemed highly harmful and, you know, deplorable, so they had the Visa and MasterCard come forward, threaten to pull out of them and bully them into submission. They got them in the fucking headlock, so then they just went belly up and played ball, removing all of these titles, which, by the way, was not just freaky gooner games. In itch.io's case, people have learned over the last few days, tons and tons of games have been de-indexed that didn't have...
Well, it creates a chilling effect. And this is the problem, is that as soon as companies realize and these platforms realize that they could lose their payment processing opportunities, they will be overzealous in removing games ahead of time so they don't accidentally get in trouble. And that's really what the problem is.
Any porn in them at all. So it wasn't just like...
It just makes me wonder, right? Because I didn't look into the Visa situation at all, so I'm not too familiar what's going on at all. But whenever I hear companies are eventually losing money for their decisions, usually things change. So if there's a way for the consumer to vote with their wallet, they absolutely should.
Rape and incest, weirdo games. It was any game, or mini games included, that are just darker themes that have more like
and then also, like, here's the other component to it that I don't think anybody's talking about, is that who's to what maybe Collective Shout isn't going after all NSFW games, and they don't want all porn games banned. They only want the ones banned that are negative or detrimental to women from their point of view. But what happens whenever another advocacy group that's like Collective Shout wants all of them banned? And then they email MasterCard, and then the same thing happens then. You see what I'm saying?
Of course.
So, like, even if you solve this problem and you address this one specifically, if it happens once, it'll happen again. They defended cuties? Yeah, of course. I saw that.
Bro, that cutie shit was crazy.
It's the same argument against more internet regulation.
It's interesting. People say, you know, defend the children or be aware of the children. But whenever that Epstein stuff is going on, everybody's trying to sweep it under the rug. But that directly involved the endangerment of children. So make it make sense, man. These people are lying to us. At the end of the day, they're lying to us. They know that we know that they're lying, but again, people aren't willing to actually do something about it.
I don't know necessarily if it is. I think it
Or
depends
maybe
on what
they
it
can't.
is.
You know,
But
maybe they can't.
I think that government behavior and private company behavior shouldn't be graded on the same scale. You can't really make a one-to-one comparison in a lot of cases.
Themes in them with no like sexual content. It's absurd, and it's something everyone could have seen coming. Anyone with a functioning frontal lobe could tell you that censorship is not something to be celebrated.
No.
When you
not.
try and target low-hanging fruit, something easy like
and I think also like censorship in some cases are things like we all agree with, right? Like you know, like CSAM, like any like child sexual abuse stuff, like yeah, get rid of that, censor that. Get rid of you know, doxing, stuff like that, censor that for sure. But the problem is that this is the real issue. It's that these people want to make their opinions the law. And they don't want to change the law. They want to have their opinions, enforce them as if they are the law, but not actually pass a law. That's the issue. And that's what they're doing.
you know, disgusting porn games.
You know, the law is supposed to be something that is supposed to protect society and protect the people. If people in power are truly making their opinions, their own personal beliefs law, that is, unfortunately, in the eyes of society, making their word God. And I hate seeing that stuff because we are all human at the end of the day. And I get it. Some people think because they're super high in the capitalist society that apparently their word is law, their word is God, but that is not the case. And again, if people aren't willing to show them that, no, you are still mortal, you are still able to be touched, then nothing will change.
That are all about like incest and shit, you'll get a lot of clapping seals like, yippee, you saved us. But what they don't realize is it doesn't stop there. That is just the beginning. That just opens the
and it
door.
always happens
so
like
that way
that.
they can censor even more.
That always happens. It always, like, they say they're targeting the worst of the worst that is ingrained in human nature, right? The bestiality, the child abuse, right? Gratuitous violence. They say that they're targeting that because that's the worst parts of humanity. That's the worst parts of society. We don't want people to be influenced by that. But that's just step one, because inside of said bill will be the ability to change a whole bunch of other stuff that's not even connected with what they're having the spear tip saying is what they're going to target. So, and nobody's going to sit and read all the extra stuff. Only a handful of people really go through and read and say, hey, wait, no, guys, like if they pass this, they're actually going to change a whole bunch of other stuff that they didn't even talk about. But it's too late because they're already in that loop. They're already in that cycle of, hey, no, they said they're going to get rid of all the bad stuff. Let's get rid of all the bad stuff, even though, like, one, good and bad is already subjective. But two, they're actually going to be voting against their best interests because they're going to be losing more freedoms that aren't involved with the negative aspects of humanity. It's sad, but people don't realize it because they're... I personally believe it's systematic. People have been basically groomed to become ignorant, and it's just slowly worked over the centuries. Like, this is something that's been planned for a very long time, right? And now it's like becoming more of effective because of technology has increased and people's literacy has gone down. So now we're sitting in the perfect we're sitting in the perfect basket to just get destroyed. I'm gonna stop using big ass words because apparently, like, using big ass words doesn't help, right? We are gonna get screwed over because people do not read the fine print, and people have been taught to not read the fine print. Let's continue.
Absurd and out of control, but I'm going off on a tangent. The point is, the internet is under attack in a large way across the board, not just in gaming. I'm sure all of you have seen what's happening in the UK right now with their Online Safety Act, where now to access a myriad of content, you need to provide your identification.
Wow.
That's not acceptable.
That's slippery slope.
Just like we were all taught growing up, never take candy from a stranger, don't talk to strangers, say no to that kind of shit. you should also be taught to say no to this too. You should not be providing your ID willy-nilly online. That is not something.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that too. And also, like, the way that they need to do it, if they want to do this, this has to be like a government check system that is done by a encrypted government third party. So you don't have something like the TAP leak happen. That's the big issue. Is that, like, and also other countries have done this. Like, for example, China does this. I don't think that's a great example of like how we should do things, but they're able to do it. And also, South Korea does it. South Korea does the same thing. So it's not like this is some impossible thing that they can't figure out. It's that I don't want an individual company doing this. If you want to make an ID system, it has to be a universal government ID system that has accountability to the public. You can't just have all these random companies asking you for your driver's license constantly.
Something that should just.
Well, and that's the thing too. I also wouldn't want to have the government say, hey, yeah, you can't use the internet unless you give us your ID. Like, in general, that is also pretty bad. If anybody has to ask for your ID to surf the internet, something that we all use, right? The internet is not like, I remember hearing stories, because I wasn't old enough, but I remember hearing stories about when the internet first came out. Many people thought the internet was just a fad. They thought it was like, oh yeah, it's just something that, you know, will be used by kids, and then nobody would really take it seriously. And now it's to the point where the internet is daily use for 90% of people across the entire world, right? And to have government or private companies ask for your identification to surf the web or use their websites is a recipe for disaster, especially when more authoritarian regimes take control of the power. And now they know if anybody is looking out anything about critical thinking, if anybody is looking up anything about how to protest, if anybody's looking up things about the past, because technology is where it's at today due to innovation, due to competition. That being said, whenever all of this stuff has been given to the public, right, and we're all using it for our own individual reasons and for our own businesses and for our own private lives, to have any entity be able to look and say, oh, this person is looking up this for whatever reason, it leads to the erosion of privacy. And there's many things in the world that shows when civilians lose their ability to have their own privacy. Sure, you may have a more homogenous and collective society, but the individuals will be suffering at a rate where suicide is a viable option. And that should never be the case for any society. We should be more harmonious. We should work together, but not forcefully. If you have to force people to work together, that means things aren't working in the society. People should be willingly contributing to the growth of the society. And sure, you're going to have people that coast by. You're going to have people that only care about themselves, or people that are only going to be watching. Sure, that's going to be normal. But to try and force everybody to come to a specific standard, that works in China because everybody is Chinese. People are homogenous. That works in South Korea because everybody's South Korean. Everybody's homogenous. Eastern and Western culture is completely different. As Westerners, we are more individual, and it should stay that way. You shouldn't try and force a Western society that's full of different races, full of ethnic backgrounds, be forced to assimilate to try and become one Western unit or entity. That's just not how that shit should work. We should have more individuality, because if we have people come into power to say, if you don't change, we're going to erase you. And this isn't far-fetched, okay? There has been ethnic cleansing for millennia. There are people that don't have their own languages anymore, right? I'm in the Philippines right now. The Philippines is screwed because they have so much Spanish influence. They have so much Spanish influence till this day because they have been colonized and literally R-worded by many countries. America, Japan, the Spanish. The Filipino people should be a prime example of what happens whenever somebody else comes in and forces their entire structure to change to somebody else's whim. And it's hard. Like me even being here, living here, seeing the poverty and the wealth disparagement. Like I see this, and I see also in like just the conversations I have, people are just sleepwalking through life, and that's all they will ever know because they've been indoctrinated so well. That is going to be the Western civilization as well. If we do not have our own freedoms, if we don't have the ability to have our own ancestor worship in a way, if we don't have the ability to look and say, yeah, this is my lineage, Native Americans, this is my lineage, people from Africa, this is my lineage, people from Europe, Western Europe, Eastern Europe, right? The Balkans, these are different people, even though they're very genetically similar. They have their own culture. And these are things that need to be cherished because we are all different. We are all human, but we are all different. We all have our own backgrounds, and these are things that need to be celebrated. But when you have the technology, that is the one thing that's really keeping people together, right? Technology is the one thing that everybody is using, that everybody's coming into and having their whole lives be revolved around. Whenever you wake up, probably the first thing you do is check your phone. Whenever some entity has control over all of that information and all of that knowledge, and they take out everything that doesn't align with their own personal beliefs and they feed it to us, that's a recipe for disaster. I'm done preaching.
Be just, loosey-goosey, no care in the world. Oh, here's all my personal identification. Here, yeah, take it. That way I can access fucking Wikipedia. By the way, Wikipedia is actually affected by this. Now, in some cases, it's not providing an ID. It's instead providing your face. It will scan your face, so you're giving them your biometric data in that case. Again,
on top of geolocation.
Big time no-no.
Again, I have no problem doing this when I'm signing up for a driver's license or I'm signing up for something like that. But I do have a big problem doing this when I'm signing up for a social media website and I'm giving it to the social media website directly. Hell no. Well, yeah, it's awful. Like, I mean, we can't be giving this shit away to private companies like this all the time. Yeah, legal documents, yes, but not social media. Exactly. Like registering to vote. Yeah, there's a lot of things that you have to give your data away for, and that's fine. But the difference is that these are governments. And this is kind of what I was saying before. Do you see kind of like this apparatus that's being created where these online companies are creating basically a government? They're creating a government on the internet. They're creating a government on the internet with no accountability, no democracy, no representation, and no way of stopping it. That's the issue.
Yeah, the CEOs are basically going to be authoritarians. You can't just replace the CEO unless you vote them out through if it's a public invested company. That's the only way to publicly vote them by the investors, and the investors only care about what? Money. They only care about the shares. So if the CEO is ruthlessly destroying civilization, but the investors are making money and they have their yachts and their own bunkers and their own warehouse storages of their own food, they don't give a damn if society crumbles. In fact, some of them probably prey on society crumbling because they don't care about us at all. They don't really care about us at all. Like, they believe survival of the fittest, because if not, they wouldn't. If they didn't care about being number one, they wouldn't pursue being number one at all costs. And on top of that, talking about biometric data, giving your biometric data, that also has your geolocation. So with the T app, for those who don't know, I actually saw a video that talked more about the not just political aspect, but espionage as well. So all the people that had their information leaked, because the T app was made with AI, not only did they have their face and of course their ID, if they gave their face or their ID to verify they're a woman, it also had their location. So where they took that photo, it has their exact location. So you have somebody's face or their ID, and you have their location. It's easy to look on the map, right? There's a whole bunch of pins that shows all the people that signed up and where they signed up at. If they're all in this well-established area, and this person is obviously having some type of issue with somebody else that may be in a CEO position, you can see how that can be very bad, right? You can see how anybody in any government, no matter where, can look at this and say, oh wait, that's the wife of that CEO, or hey, that's the wife of this philanthropist or whatever. That's the wife of whoever. And they have a lot of wealth. They have a lot of money. And apparently they're on this app looking and talking about other people and gossiping. And we know exactly where they're at. That can be used for blackmail. Now, it's easy to say, oh, okay, well, those are rich people. Those are rich people, wives, whatever. That same thing can happen to you, because whenever you have to log in or sign up or whatever, and you have to use your ID to sign up for this social media or whatever website, it doesn't matter. It could be a website for buying couches, right? It could be Lowe's. You're trying to sign up for Lowe's and they say, we need your ID for you to get into the website. Now they know your face and they know where you live. Or depending on where you took the picture, they know your location. And that's for everybody. Now imagine you try and sign up for a website like ChatGPT, and then you start using ChatGPT to ask these questions about life or start asking questions about politics. And all that information is being tracked. On top of that, they know who you are, they know your face, they know things about you, and they know where you're at. You will have no privacy. You will have no freedom. You will own nothing. And if you try and own anything, they can find you relatively easily. That's a very dangerous world to live in. Very dangerous world to live in.
Data versus selling data is different. Yeah. Like this information should never go to a third party for-profit company.
Be the one to come in here and teach you why privacy is important, but I hope somebody has. This is not
if you play PlayStation, you know that.
For sure.
Good thing.
That hack was crazy.
So in some of these processes, it's not always required to give your full ID and your like fucking, credit card statements or anything. Instead, some may ask to like scan your face and everything.
Yeah.
Also still frowned upon. You still shouldn't do that either. This bill was paraded around like it was some righteous, legislation that was aimed at protecting kids from accessing harmful content online, specifically
they don't care about kids.
Porn.
They don't care about kids.
I'm sure a lot of you, if you've got your thinking caps on, if you're activating
surely now all the kids are going to stop looking at porn. We're just going to do this new law, and then all the kids won't see any more porn. It's going to go away. Problem solved.
Neurons can probably recognize a pattern since basically the beginning of time, the beginning of the internet here.
Are you 18? Yes or no?
Porn is always used as this ultimate boogeyman. It's the galactic.
Yeah, it's the really bad one. And in my opinion, I don't even think porn is the bad one. It's grooming that's the bad one. This person brings up a great point. LinkedIn uses a government vendor Clear. I'm assuming this is the same Clear that you use in the airport too. In order to verify someone's identity. LinkedIn does not get the info specifically. Yes, exactly. This is reasonable. This is reasonable, and this is something that can work. But the problem is that the companies doing it themselves, that does not work. Absolutely not. Until they get hacked, anything will get hacked. The ISPs get hacked. Your computer can get hacked. Just because something can get hacked doesn't mean that you should just do everything with no level of like security. That's silly.
This level threat that they always have to pass legislation to combat. And to people that don't want to do any thinking and would rather have all their thoughts put into their head by the government on what they should and should not support, it sounds like a nice notion. You don't want kids having access to harmful content like porn online. That makes sense. But the second you make like George and get a bit curious and, God forbid, get into your ponder stance and start thinking and look into these type of pushes, you will recognize the goal is not to protect kids. It's not to protect anyone
Yeah,
from
it's a Trojan horse. It's a moral Trojan horse where they can use to push in censorship of political ideology, dissenting viewpoints, or anything that would challenge them in a way that they think is inconvenient.
anything. These are called
Basically, if you try and challenge the power will crush you.
Trojan horses, where
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
It's true.
they push these through under a false pretense like this with so many huge detrimental consequences attached to it that impede on your freedom. They use this idea of protecting kids from harmful content as a way of getting this bill across the line that has really bad stuff in it. There is nothing good about handing over your freedoms. And it's even more sad how few people even recognize it happening in front of their face. And even beyond that, even more pathetic is the people that are happy about it, that don't mind giving away all of their personal information.
Because they will sell your personal information too.
And the best part is, sorry to cut off everybody, the best part is they won't even care. They'll just sell. They're like, oh, here you go. Yeah. And they'll say, if you don't have anything to hide, what's the problem? Everybody has something to hide. It's called your personal information. It's called your identity. Everybody has something to hide. Whether you're a CEO or you're the middle school mom, you're the one taking people to soccer practice. You have something to hide as well. Maybe it's nothing to involve with money, but we all sin. We all live in sin. None of us are perfect, yet we pretend to be. We wear this mask that, yeah, no, everything's all right. Yeah, I'm a model citizen. You cheated on your husband last week, and you're still talking to the guy that you cheated on him with. You wouldn't want that information out. You wouldn't want the T app out, would you? Right? 2 million registered users. And I'm pretty sure a lot of those people don't even think that they're some type of target. Yet everybody has dirty laundry. There's no human being on this earth without some type of dirty laundry. It's only when you try and compare them, like, oh yeah, sure, I cheated, but at least I'm not like this person. You're just as bad. You just want to pretend you're not. Sure, there's levels and degrees, but you're not squeaky clean. Any of your dirty laundry can be used against you, and you will feel like it's a threat. Why? Because it's your dirty laundry. People don't think, man. People don't think. And that's why they're winning. Because you have been taught to not think. You've been taught to learn what others instill into you through the school system, but you have not been taught to critically think. And until you actually think about the world and your existence, you will be falling into the same traps over and over and over and over again.
This is another component that people might not realize, is that how many of you guys have ever signed up for something or given someone your phone number, and then you start getting phone calls from random places that you have no idea, like, who
Where
is
did this come
person?
from?
Like, what is
How did
this?
they get my number? And they steal it all the time, bro. Like, I travel the world. When I go to hotels, they always ask me for my email and a phone number. What the fuck you need my email for? Oh, we need your email to make sure that I know you don't. You're going to sell my email. So I've been given fake emails and fake numbers the whole time. They don't verify it. They just take it, and then, because everybody wants to be honest. Everybody wants to tell the truth. Yeah, be honest to your own detriment. Because these people don't care about you. You're not being righteous when you really give out your real email. You're not being righteous when you give out your real phone number. It's a ploy, it's a trick, it's a lie. It's something that they can use to their own benefit against you. So you just paid them to stay the night at the hotel, but guess what? They're making more money because they're going to sell your email to somebody else that wants to sell you some bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. Like, that's why, like, the government will too. Well, the government hasn't done that yet. Or at least they don't do it very often. And yeah, every damn time. Exactly. And so, like, that's it. You have to change your number. Yeah, you have to change your phone number. It's very, very fucking
doesn't
annoying.
Matter.
When there is no product, you are the product. Well, people, they look for data, and they look for emails and phone numbers and stuff like that. And the reason why is because they sell that data and they use it as a resource. So when you sign up for like a free trial, it wasn't free, it cost you your phone number.
Of course.
Was not about protecting children from accessing porn.
Yeah.
It did not just require ID to be provided for porn sites. It was required for anything that they deemed maybe potentially opening up children to harmful content. That includes Discord features. It includes some forums. It includes Twitter. It includes Reddit. Anything that could even be moderately argued opens them up to like adult content or harmful subjects is hit by this, requiring them to have age verification in place. Where you
I saw like the screenshots from the EU, and it's like you go through your profile, and it's like this picture is hidden, this post is hidden, you can't see this item, this one might not comply with regulations. Like the entire fucking thing is it's like when the CIA releases documents about UFOs,
Redacted,
and it says like the date,
redacted.
and then like the year is blacked out, and then the entire screen and the entire page is blacked out, and it says at the very end, it says did this, and that's it. It's all redacted. Yeah.
Provide an ID to prove you are 18 years or older in order to grant access to that. You know the whole meme of like, oi, you got a license to be breathing that air?
Yeah.
Where it's all about like how over the top the UK is with this kind of bullshit. Well, now it has become beyond parody, where you actually need a fucking license to send Discord shit. You need a license for Wikipedia articles, basically. Wikipedia is being hit by this, by the way.
This is inevitable. I'm going to say this. People might not want to hear it, but I think that it's true. The internet being an unregulated Wild West never could have lasted forever. And it hasn't lasted. There is only the illusion of it lasting. The idea of having anonymity on the internet is 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, probably 999 times out of 1,000, a mirage. If the FBI wants to find out what you were doing on the internet, they're going to be able to do it.
So where is all the Epstein shit? Where is all the information on the Epstein files? Protect the children. Sure.
That's not the problem. The problem is private companies that are able to do this and that are able to exercise their own rules that are separate from actual laws. And also them using this as a way to effectively censor political discussion and political content. And you already have this happen in places like Iran. When the war in Iran was happening, Iran just turned off the internet.
Crazy how that shit
with
work.
the Patriot Act. Well, like for example, like if you want to set up a bank account, it's pretty hard to do that without a government ID. If you want to get a driver's license, you have to verify that you are indeed a person and you're of a certain age. It's hard to get a driver's license unless you make a fake one. Like there are a million things in the world that you need to verify and check, right? And of course that's the case. The internet is not the internet that we grew up in.
Of course,
the internet is not an alternate reality. The internet is reality. People spend more time now on the internet than they spend in real life.
And that's crazy.
So this entire idea that what you're doing on the internet and what you're doing in real life are these two totally separate worlds, that's not true anymore.
They're intertwined.
It's just not. Like
as soon as people started making revenue from the internet, that's when it changed. Immediately when people started being able to make money, because money is energy. So whenever people started being able to make energy from the internet, from the comfort of their own home or wherever they were making it from, that's when it changed. That's when the lines merged. And that was a long time ago.
People are using their real names. Most people are. And you've got people on Twitter doing the same thing. People are using two-factor verification, authentication. They're attaching their phone numbers to their accounts. Nobody's really anonymous anymore. And it's not like in 2007 where it's just like random 4chan posters making, comments about Boxy. This isn't, the world has changed. And
that's crazy.
It's no longer, the internet is no longer an alternate reality. It is a separate reality. And it is an augment to our reality. And for a lot of people like myself, the internet is a reality. You spend more time on the internet in real life. And so it's completely over. Yes, times change. And so I think that with the times changing, there will be a level of accountability that has to follow that. Because you can't have people doing business, living their lives, and doing all these things on the internet, and then having anonymity with everything. It's like driving around without license plates. It's like doing anything else without any form of identification. You have to have something. This was inevitable. But the problem is that, and this is what Charlie's talking about, and this is the big issue. If this happens, it can also be used to justify censorship and to be overly controlling. Like voting? Yes, exactly. There's so many bad sides to the interwebs? Yeah, of course there is, right? This is essential legislation. It's not necessarily essential legislation, but it's inevitable legislation. This will happen because there is the honest question that I think nobody can really answer in a genuine way. Where is the benefit of a 15-year-old girl having and posting on Instagram? There isn't any. There is literally zero benefit and only negatives. Literally fucking zero. And I think that there are, and that it's zero at best. That's really the big problem.
I don't even know if it's zero anymore. Hear me out. Because so many people are online, as we said earlier, more people spend more time online than anything. And as we talked about earlier, people can make money from online. It would make sense that, sure, 15-year-old boys and girls are on TikTok doing stupid stuff, but it's also part of their social identity, unfortunately. Unfortunately, I can see that if you don't have a TikTok in middle school, or you don't have a TikTok in high school, or Instagram or whatever, some type of social validation, because all social validation nowadays comes from online. The social validation isn't really in the school. It's not in the environment. It's how many people follow you. It's how many people liked your post. It's how many people socially care about you online, when really, like, nobody really cares about each other online. It's all superficial anyway. And due to the fact that so many people are online, it's sad to say, but yeah, I can see that 15-year-olds, 16-year-olds, like, some people have kids and then they make their social media for them and post for them when they're babies or when they're kids and when they're toddlers, when they're growing up. They have their social media for them. And like, yes, that's different to have the parents supervise it, for sure. And if anything, the parents should supervise the 15-year-olds and the 16-year-olds as well. They probably shouldn't be online in general. But we live in a world where everybody is online all the time. And yes, that comes with the unfortunate caveat that there's going to be a bunch of weirdos online watching them as well. And there's a bunch of weirdos watching people all the time. Some of those weirdos are in position of power. Some of those weirdos get caught on islands sleeping with those young people. But then they wrap it up and keep it a secret. And so it's like, it's not just a double-edged sword. It's like a double-edged sword, but the hilt also has little daggers on it. So you're holding the sword that's stabbing you. You could stab yourself swinging it down. You can stab it swinging it upwards. And it's just overall a mess. Why is it a mess? Because socially, we have fucked ourselves. Everybody. We have spent more time online. This is coming from a guy that has purposefully, I deactivated my Instagram over 2 months ago. My life has become better. I have sat in retreats for multiple days without access to my phone. I have become more in tune with nature, become more in tune with myself. And I understand that not everybody can do that. But if there was a way, and there is a way, for more people to get away from the bullshit that is on here, get away from the bullshit that is inside this other dimension that is the internet, more people can come to realize that there is more to life than just all this superficial stuff. And when they can come to terms with that, they can slowly start regaining their own sense of self, their own real personal thoughts and ideas. And instead of immediately they look at something, they go to the comments section, they want to see what the most positive opinion is, and then run with that, or go with what everybody else is saying, like a freaking echo chamber where nobody really has original thoughts or original ideas. They're just regurgitating some shit somebody else has said, right? This is why I'm disagreeing with Asmongold with this take. Like, sure, do 15-year-olds and 16-year-olds, should they have the internet? Should they be on TikTok? No, but unfortunately they do need it. They do need it, in quotes, need, because everybody else has fallen trap to the social media. And it's understandable because these companies have hired people that know how to prey on our brains. Don't forget, everybody, you are all just brains. You are a brain inside of a human body, bro. You look at yourself in the mirror, you're looking at a freaking shell. You're looking at your exoskeleton. You are the brain. And beyond that, you're not even just the brain, bro. You're just the observer. You are the observer watching your life play out. And sure, you may have direct influence, but there are multiple times where you don't, because you're just sleepwalking. You're listening to the positive opinion. You're listening to the most latest music. You're following the latest trends. You're not thinking for yourself at all. At all. So don't be surprised when someone's like, yeah, let me go ahead and think for you, because I have something better in store for you. And you don't even have the ability, you don't have the awareness to even say, maybe I shouldn't let the government speak for me. Maybe I shouldn't just follow public trends. Maybe I should just do my own thing. Maybe I should meditate. Maybe I should write in a journal. Maybe I should reflect on my own thoughts. Maybe I should think about thinking. Nobody has ever said that socially. Nobody has ever said that publicly. Nobody in power has said, you know what, America, you should think for yourselves. Nobody has ever said that, ever, because they don't want you to think for yourself. So I'm not even surprised that nobody can do it. You've been lulled into falling asleep. So of course you're not going to think for yourself. Why would you? Why would you think for yourself? You don't even know how to think for yourself, because nobody has taught you to think for yourself. And to the ones that have taught themselves how to think for themselves, congratulations, man. You are the minority. Me and you are the minority, because nobody else can do it. They don't have the skills to do it. They've been forced to be asleep. They're stuck with careers and jobs that just preys on their time and their soul, literally. Like, if you're working a 9-to-5, you're trading your time for the money, but that money is getting taxed. You're making more money for somebody else when you're working these 9-to-5s. And the whole time, everybody else in society is saying, yeah, that's a good idea. You should work a 9-to-5. You should go to college. You better go get that job. But nobody's encouraging you. You know what? Why don't you just create your own thing? Why don't you, I'll give you some time. Here's some books. Here's some knowledge that isn't taught in the school system. The same school system that was built by the Rockefellers to have people become workers, right? You're in a system that is designed to make you a sheep. And all the other sheep say it's a good idea for you to stay inside said system. It doesn't even make sense. But because so many other people say it, and you don't think for yourself, no surprise, you're stuck in the same system, man. Anybody can escape the system. It's just very hard to do so. And it's isolating to do so as well. I've been outside of the matrix for a long time. It sure is lonely. But fuck it, I'd rather be lonely and rich than be stuck with everybody else. Fuck that. Fuck that. No. Ain't no way. But we're all built differently. So I'm not here to sit and say that your life is a mistake. What I am saying is, are you truly really following your own life? I'm just asking you a question. Are you doing the things that truly fulfill you in this life, in this lifetime, in this world that you live in? Or is somebody else telling you what to do? And then you answer that for yourself. Let's continue the video.
And that's the reason why I think these people are going to be in this situation.
Way. And they're trying to plead their case here about how detrimental this is trying to bring some kind of sanity and reason back to the UK here in some capacity. I know this word gets tossed around a lot by a bunch of Redditors when tipping their fedora at anything they don't like.
Sure.
But
Milady.
this actually is dystopian. This is preposterous.
This is
This was never designed to protect kids from accessing harmful things like porn. It was designed for control and surveillance of their citizens.
Absolutely.
And it's being proposed in the US as well. If you thought this was an exclusive thought process just for the UK, you're very wrong. America would love to get their fingers in our buttholes as well. And
of course they would. Absolutely. And again, the people that want to do this, this is the problem. It's like always
the damn cat
phrase,
emoji.
The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Very clearly, there are a lot of people that want to do this for good reasons, like to avoid grooming and to do stuff like that. But the problem is that those people are used as a Trojan horse to get in actual censorship. And I think that's what's happening in the UK. Because like as with most things like this, there's elements of it that I agree with.
Now have the Kids Online Safety Act that has been reintroduced in late May that aims to do something very similar here. It's a very common tactic where these proposed legislations will have things like, we have to protect the children. You know, another classic meme, think of the children.
Yeah,
well, it's a meme for a reason, because it is the go-to strategy for a lot of politicians, because it's very easy to drum up support under this false pretense. It is not about protecting kids. This isn't actually trying to stop kids from accessing porn. It is a...
By the way, this is a reminder that Penguin Zero, Asmongold, and myself, we are not suicidal.
Convenient way for...
Well, I can speak for myself. I'm not suicidal. I don't know about these other two, but they're probably not suicidal, by the way.
For them to control your information and spy on you freely, openly, and easily. It is all about surveillance, control, and censorship. And all I can do is sit here and cross my...
He's completely right about this, by the way. This is the reason why something like this has to happen through a government authentication system that the individual companies have no awareness of, and they have no access to, only through a checking mechanism, like LinkedIn, for example. You can't have the companies doing this themselves.
Fingers and toes while kissing a rabbit's foot that we are lucky enough that this will be shot down as it has in the past in this country. But it's not guaranteed. Obviously, most people don't want kids accessing porn.
Yeah.
And in an age where information can spread so quickly, so wrongly, there's...
Everybody knows, like, this is something that's probably, like, politically incorrect to say this, but, like, if you were 12 years old now and you were in the UK, do you think this would stop you from looking at porn?
No.
Really? Like, I mean, let's just be honest.
If you want to watch it, you're going to watch it.
I don't even think this would put a dent in it. It's not going to change this at all. It's not going to do anything. Like, if I was a kid, this wouldn't stop me. I'd just work around it the same as I work around everything else. And so the real reason, and like this is the problem, is that because they're not willing to use an actual comprehensive system like South Korea, and they use these weird half measures, what they end up doing is all they're achieving is just censoring things and not helping anybody. And that's the big problem. Kids are the most resourceful. Well, they don't have anything else to do. I'd steal a relative's ID and use it. Yeah, sure, right? I mean, a million different ways of doing it. This isn't about porn. It's about corporate profits. I don't even think it's about that, honestly.
It's deeper than
I think it's about the government
profits.
trying to create narratives and control narratives. That's really what's going on here. It's not even about corporations at all.
It's
We have an actual censorship supporter in chat. What is this here? Let me read this person's message. Why isn't he explaining how 12-year-olds get around it? How would they get around it? Well, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of ways, right? I mean, you could, so there's a way that you could use a parent's account. You could get on your parent's account. Like, that's what I did. Like, I mean, I just used my mom's account to go on the internet. Like, I used my mom's computer. Like, how many of you guys, whenever you looked at porn the first time, you just did it on the family computer? So, like, it's not even, like, so, like, your parents have it, and then you just delete the history. So, like, I mean, that's one way that's, like, really obvious, right? Opera browser has a VPN built into it. Yeah, sure.
You know, and the thing is, like, the VPNs aren't even the VPNs are a bandage to the open wound that's leaking out, because at the end of the day, it's about control, right? So let's say 80% of the population gets controlled and the other 20% use a VPN. Well, at that point, if 80% of the people are already being controlled, that's a win. But how do we get the other 20%? Well, if everybody else is being controlled, it's so much easier to control said VPN companies to say, well, if you're going to use our VPN service, you got to use your ID. So guess what? Even if you are using a VPN, you still had to give away your information. So now the people know who is using VPNs, right? If they know you're using a VPN and then you gave them your ID, the VPN service provider, they still know whether you're changing to Germany or whatever. And if all these other companies also do the same thing, they also have these firewalls in place. There's no, at this point in time, right? The US is safe. So the people that are in the UK using a VPN, they can use the US to get around it, to look at shit. But what happens when the US and the UK also have the same firewalls up? So now you're using a VPN. You can't use the US. And if you're in the US, you can't use the UK because it doesn't matter. And then what happens, right? Because everybody's trying to become global. There's trying to be one entity to be above everything. So what happens when you get this VPN service and it doesn't matter where you go to? There's going to be these firewalls up and nobody can see anything. You're just getting a different version of the same shit. It's a bandage. It doesn't solve anything. The root problem is the people that want control. It's not, it doesn't matter how many VPNs you get. In the long run, the long game is global domination, period. It's not about profits. Profits don't mean shit whenever you control the world. Why do you need profits when you control everybody's thoughts? If you can control everybody in the world, why would money matter? You force everybody to do everything. You make everybody think anything that you want them to think. This is deeper than just money. Money is just energy. But what happens when you control the people that have the source to create energy? You have infinite everything. You become God on earth, right? You guys got to open your eyes. It's deep, bro. It's deep. It's some deep shit. And I know a lot of people don't want to look at it. I've looked at this demon for quite a while, to the point where I understand we're already in spiritual warfare. And if you don't understand that, if you don't believe, it doesn't matter if you don't believe. Hey, if you don't believe, that makes it even easier for them to control you, because you don't believe in anything. There's a lot of deep, scary shit that's been going on for a long time, since before I was even born. The only thing that we have is collective strength. But when we're all segregated and fighting each other over political stuff that at the end of the day doesn't matter, because it's all going to be controlled by one entity anyway, best believe we have some serious demons to be fighting. And it's not against each other.
I'm just saying in general. Earlier messages, and what is this here? Just relax, guys. USA think a lot of peeps London equals the UK. This is so funny to us in the UK. We think America is overreacting. Destiny is the result of accessing porn easily. We've seen the negative of kids accessing porn easily. It's essential legislation. It's old school RuneScape streamers. What is this here? I'll let this person make one more comment, that I want to move on past this. That's something a 12-year-old would ask? Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a million different ways that you can get around rules like this. I mean, it's common sense.
There's a lot of people that might hear the tiddlywinks about this bill, think it's doing something that it's not, and support it. Mm-hmm. It's very possible. There's never been an easier time to get some really damaging, freedom overturning bills passed than right now. Yeah. Because you control so much information so easily, and most people don't bother to spend even a fucking iota of a second researching any of the topics.
Of course not.
It's
that's
just
the way with everything. Yeah, people don't
really
know
concerning.
They think it's in their benefit. They're
mix of ingredients here for like the possible perfect storm of no longer having an internet that you can access without providing identification. For some reason, it's become highly accepted and normalized that the internet is expected to cater to children being on it completely unsupervised.
That is the problem. That is the issue.
People need to take accountability for their
children. I think that you can draw the line at social media websites and peer-to-peer messaging, But the idea that the entire internet needs to be sanitized, regulated, and controlled because some parent that's a shitty parent might not be able to control their kid going on a bad website, this is outrageous. I don't think that the entire population has to live with censorship because some parents can't live with accountability. It's a completely massive distortion, and it doesn't make any sense at all. It's also a lot harder now because parents give their kids iPhones. Well, I mean, there's a lot of ways you can check that probably, right? I mean, there's so many tools to manage it as well. You can install a keylogger to get parents' passwords. Yeah, exactly. You're making a good points, but I don't see proof for the Trojan horse argument. Sure. So basically, here's the point that I'm making. So anything that would be unacceptable for a kid to see. So do you think that violence and certain types of political extremism would be unacceptable for a kid to see?
I feel this person and that's even asking this question, like they are not paying attention to anything. Like, what do you mean you need an example of the Trojan horse? Like, look at the UK. They literally just had that shit just happen to them. They had presented a bill that said we're going to protect the children, and there was a whole bunch of stuff underneath it that was above and beyond the reach of what they said that they were going to do. And on top of that, if you need more examples, there's stuff like that going on in the legislation in the US government right now. There's been times that bills have been going up and getting signed, and then other people realize after the fact, oh snap, wait, this law actually talks about more stuff. Like, if you want more examples, I don't have them off the top of my head because I am not that deep into specific laws and stuff that gets passed. Unfortunately, my journey is not really aligned with that. I'm more into the spiritual side of life, trying to figure that stuff out, because apparently we're going to need that more than bills and laws because these people are already corrupt and bought out. But just go ahead and check out Right to Repair. There's been many laws and bills that passed talking about, we'll give you the right to repair this, except we're not going to give you the tools for that. Go check out Louis Rossman if you really want examples, because that's on a specific scale, and it's an important scale, because if you cannot repair your own equipment, you're reliant on companies to repair the equipment for you. And if the companies are repairing equipment for you, you don't have any ownership of the devices that you have. And if you don't have any ownership of the devices that you have, anybody can flip a switch and say you can no longer use this product. And then you're fucked.
I think there would be a lot of people who would arrive at the conclusion that yes, actually it would be unacceptable for a kid to see it. So because of that, you could have things like the different pushes for, like the lesser immigration in the EU, for example. You could have that be categorized as behavior that should be censored.
Sure.
They could easily make that argument. And I think that you could make that argument because really this is a complex adult political issue that really shouldn't be being shown to kids. This isn't really.
And that's the hard part. Like, what should and should not be shown to kids? I'm not going to lie. If children and young adults learned more about the political world and what goes through it besides just staying in Candyland forever, maybe things could eventually become better. But then at the same time, kids will be losing their innocence. But I don't want to be the one to draw the line to say what kids should and should not see, especially since I don't have any kids anyway. But more people need to become more aware of the world that we live in instead of staying in fantasy land all damn day. While you're staying in fantasy land, the world is crumbling around you, and eventually the fantasy that you live in will cave in as well. And it would basically be no point for you to have your head in the sand when everything is going to be crushed. So for sure, there's something bigger that more people need to look at. And if the youth was to look at it, I feel personally that the youth could help solve it, because that is the point of having children, to solve the issues and the problems that are going on within the present and the past. We weren't born to just sit around and jerk off and just live in fantasy land all day, right? There's a reason why boys become men, and there's too many people in Peter Pan syndrome where they want to just stay kids forever. They're not ready to be a man. And it's sad, which has led to the stuff that we go through today. There's not many men, and if there's no men, then the people that are opportunistic and they can take control of stuff, they can stay in power even longer, because there's nobody to stop them. There's no men because everybody's a boy, everybody's scared. this is an interesting video, but I have to go, guys. I've been talking for a long time. I put a lot of information out here. I know there's a lot more to talk about, and this is a very serious conversation. And I implore you all to also do your own research and also to think for yourselves. Not everything that I said may align with what you believe, and that's totally fine. Talk about it. That's the point. You have to have the conversation. If you're not willing to have a conversation about anything, anybody with a popular opinion is able to overrule you, and that should not be the case.
No, the world does not need to be a padded room for you to bounce around in. This is the same viewpoint that I've had with like that 2% stuff. Why are we catering all of society around the dumbest, most irresponsible, most violent, abusive, aggressive, problematic, and antisocial people? Why are we doing that? It seems like a massive mistake.
No, it's been very
I feel because we're not really catering to them specifically. We're like, people in power are using them as an example, and just saying like that small 2% is like a majority, even though it's not. They're saying that it is, and they're using children as well to be like a shield for their real nefarious means.
Common for parents to just sit their kids in front of an iPad, creating these iPad kids, setting them up for failure, really, by refusing to actively be a part of their life and raise them.
Sure.
But that doesn't mean that the internet needs to step in and change to do it for them. There needs to be the onus placed back on the household. The parents should be once again in charge of raising their kids. That's how it used to be, and that's how you had normal people develop. Not like.
And also the other problem is that back then you did have bad situations happen. And this is something that I think a lot of people might be uncomfortable discussing. But back then, when you didn't have as many rules, you also had bad things happen to people. Absolutely. But that's life. Like, and in a lot of cases, I would want to have a world where, yeah, maybe bad things can happen, but you live with a little bit more freedom. And that's the case with a lot of things in the U.S. Like, for example, guns. Like, we can have guns here, and I can guarantee you if there were no guns allowed, there probably would be a net decrease in gun deaths. But does that mean that we should take away everybody's guns? No. It's the same as speed limits. If you took the speed limit down by 20 miles an hour, I bet probably you would have less accidents everywhere. But would that be better for everybody? No. So
I mean, for that one specifically, because statistically, there's more accidents at slower collisions. So will it change the amount of accidents? Maybe a little bit, but if anything, it'll drastically reduce the fatal crashes, because fatal crashes is, of course, at high speed, not low speed. And also the same thing with weapons. Like, having so many weapons in America it's like a double-edged sword, but in like a positive way. Like, yes, we have so many guns that there's a chance that someone's gonna go crazy with a gun. But then, of course, we have so many guns, there's a chance that somebody's gonna take down that active shooter with a gun, because crazy people are gonna get guns regardless. On top of that, because there's so many weapons in the United States, it does make it a bit harder for said powers to do much of anything too drastic, because the civilians are still armed. Now imagine if they wanted to change a whole bunch of stuff and we didn't have guns. Like, it'd be GG's. Like, have you seen what the police have? They have freaking military issue vehicles for police officers. They got some high grade, high tech shit that only 5.57 and above in ballistics is going to even damage. This is 9mm and this .45, that's not gonna do anything. Right? But we still have people out here that have shotguns. We have people out here that still have rifles. We have people out here that have weaponry in case anything goes down, regardless if it's like a domestic government issue. It could be a foreign one. Like, anybody could try and attempt to invade, and the civilians still have a way to defend themselves besides just relying on the military. So I'd always say to empower the individual. Like, I would love to have more people empower themselves versus having to rely constantly on Big Brother to solve all of your issues.
So again, don't fall for the illusion of safety and even a degree of safety and then trade away your entire freedom to it. Yeah,
Absolutely.
ban cars, save lives. Yeah, it's insane. And so, yeah, take the gun, ban guns are bad, okay? Speed limits are unconstitutional. True, brother. Yep. And
I
so
can
left
drive
brain
as fast
cannot
as I
tolerate
want.
unknowns and uncertainties. Freedom is the ultimate uncertainty. Well,
Sure.
and this is the problem, is that people have these like extreme viewpoints on things. And I think that I have a pretty moderate viewpoint on it, where I think that social media and peer-to-peer messaging apps should be regulated with a pretty high degree, and you shouldn't allow minors on those social media apps. But using the entire internet and making the entire internet like that without even having to log on is such a massive overreach that I
Yes.
don't agree with it at all.
This,
Yes.
not under the thumb
That, like,
of the
that's
government
where I
sticking
am.
its nose in your business.
I respect it.
It is terrifying. Why have we just gotten to the point where we excuse bad parenting and instead force the internet to be the ones to be the parental figure, where everything is like babied to ensure a kid doesn't accidentally access fucking Wikipedia or something? It's completely preposterous. And on top of that, it's downright dangerous for everybody. You
Absolutely.
shouldn't be providing your identification and all of this data like this. It's just not good.
Well,
and
you can look at the T-app leak. I mean, the reality
Talked
is
about it
that,
earlier.
I mean, yes, it's a hose-mad situation, and we can all laugh at them and think that it's funny. But the reality is that these women are having their lives ruined, and now they have their picture posted online. Probably a lot of them, this really negatively affected them emotionally. And did they deserve it? I mean, like, I would
Who's to
say,
say?
yeah, kind of. But, like, at the same time, the fact that it can happen is bad. It's funny. Yeah, exactly. But, like, when...
And again, like, a lot of people are looking at it from the social aspect, but if you look at it from the idea of espionage, right, of government and foreign entities taking that information, because those people pictures and geolocation were tagged in that breach, anybody can legitimately go in and find exactly who was saying what about who and use that as blackmail. And sure, you could look at it socially, but as soon as we find out that some of these people were saying this were high up in some type of position, in some type of corporate or even part of government, because there was people working in military installations that were logging into this shit, right? So now we got a matter of national security. It's not just socially. Like, this legitimately can impact government in a negative way. And, you know, it's better to have the devil you know versus the devil you don't know, right? As much as I know how shady these 3-letter agencies are in the US, there are some probably even worse or more shady individuals across the pond. So for sure, it's not good socially, but it's even worse if you look at it from the perspective of national security.
I'm saying is that a bad thing happening to a bad person is funny, but it's still a bad thing. And the reality is that if a leak can happen to the T app, it can happen to other apps as well.
Absolutely.
Most hacking and most database breaches, from my understanding, are just straight up social engineering. It's not like some guy uses some kind of like weird machine that he created and it's a headset that allows him to hack into the government with his mind. It's just a guy that's using someone else's credentials and then downloading the database to a hard drive and then taking the hard drive out of the building.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what's...
Yeah, like, on top of that, there's passwords that were leaked in the T app. A lot of people use the same password for everything. It's some dangerous shit.
really happening. And so, correct, I work in cyber. Yeah, I would say 90%, yeah, 95% are social engineering, phishing, and identity theft. It's not actual database breaches through genuine hacking. Our entire API was open with no passwords? Yeah, exactly. The T-app leak was a form of ethical hacking? No, it wasn't.
No,
it was
it's not
ethical
ethical
hacking, because hacking would imply that you would have to get into something. They just put all of the... This guy basically said, okay, I'm going to take everybody's driver's licenses and put them in this box. And then some guy said, hey, what's this box? Damn, what are all these driver's licenses? Holy shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they didn't
exactly
even get
what
hacked. There
happened.
was no security. In order to
left the
have
door
hacking,
open.
you'd need to be bypassing security. Security wasn't even bypassed.
Really hope we don't see it come to America. I wanted to put all of this on your plate here, put it on your radar, because this is not something good. Don't let the propaganda fool you. It is not aiming to actually protect anybody or anything.
No.
It is solely for control and surveillance, trying to get more data from you to monitor your activities and ensure you are the drone they want you to be. This is not a good thing. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that a little bit. That's
Appreciate it, Charlie.
Fucking based.
It's true. It's not even based. It's
Absolutely, 100% fucking based. Charlie is totally right about this. I think that, again, concessions will have to be made for certain things on the internet because the internet has become an integral part of our real lives.
Yes.
But the idea that the entire internet needs to be censored, regulated, and controlled because some parents can't control their kids. Here's
bullshit.
the original fucking Child Safety Act. It's called parenting. That's it. That's what you need to do. And so, yeah, Europe is a testing grounds for the USA. Make sure to give the video a like. I totally fucking agree with them, right? Kids should be controlled, not the freedom. Yeah, definitely, right? The idea that you get arrested for online comment is a myth. You get arrested for hate speech, incitement to violence. Edgelords like to pretend otherwise. Okay, so like then you make an online comment and they say it's hate speech and you get arrested. Okay, so then you get arrested for an online comment.
You're making it worse.
Okay, that's what I thought. I'm glad you cleared that up for me. Thanks.
Yeah.
I was confused there, but now I understand. And so anyway, define hate speech. Yeah, I don't want to hear that bullshit. And anyway, I think the responsibility of keeping kids safe from danger should be given to the parents, not by making the internet shit for everyone. Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, Democrats get their way. The same thing you see in Europe will happen in the U.S. Well, and this is also another big problem, is that everybody talks about this, but they don't realize that this type of behavior and this activity is what's going to be used as a foundation to censor other things like COVID. Like the exact rules that they're making right now for kids are rules that they will apply whenever COVID or something like that happens in the future. I'll be right back. Yeah, obviously, can you guys imagine them doing the exact same thing with COVID? I definitely can. I think anybody could. I'll be right back.
Well, for sure. Like, I remember when COVID came out and people said, oh, yeah, it was made by the government. And then all those people were called crazy. And then months, if not years later, it came out like, yeah, COVID was engineered. And then everybody was just like, oh, okay. But that's kind of a big deal. It's kind of important, right? Very serious video. Shout out to Momo Channel Discord for submitting this. I've said everything I needed to say. It's we're moving towards dystopia every single day, and it's important to have the conversation, sure, but it's also more important to actually do something about it. Protest, of course. You could say vote for the right people. I mean, sure, that's like the democratic thing to do, but democracy is slowly dying every day, and authoritarianism is getting closer. So what do you do with authoritarians when they have power and they don't want to lose it? I'll let you guys figure that part out for yourself. All right, it's your boy KhunShawn. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.